Hey, Mark Wallace, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sean, for having me on. It's good to talk to you. You know, you started it by saying on a whole other subject. I actually think your previous subject about the border and the border crossings is very much related. For now many years, Iran has plotted to kill, kidnap, and torture Americans on U.S. soil. And we have not been able to effectively deter the number one state terrorist organization in the world from engaging on activities to kill Americans. We've lost the concept of deterrence in our policy. And that is an affliction suffered by a large swath, if not all, of the Democratic Party. And frankly, Sean, some of our own Republican Party as well. I think we have to get to a place where we deter Iran, and people must recognize by us making a clear threat to Iran, if that behavior continues, their malign behavior continues, that there will be real consequences, and fulfilling and living up to those consequences, we make the world safer and avoid the bigger conflicts to come. Assuredly, if we were engaging in true deterrence, Iran would have been far less likely to support Hamas to the degree that it has been supporting Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the various other terror groups that Iran is supporting. And you recently, 3 days ago, had the Iranian foreign minister in New York threatening us on U.S. soil. Iran sees us as weak. In fact, Iran is a paper tiger. And if we ever responded and let them know...
Why do you say they're a paper tiger when, in fact, they have been able to cause all of this chaos?
Because there's no deterrent, Sean. I think that the history of Iran is that when they swing, it's the old Clausewitz provision. When they thrust with the bayonet and they encounter a mush in the West, they keep pushing, they keep threatening. Only when they are knocked back with a real response do they pull back. Because they've shown a history of pulling back when they're knocked back. But somehow we believe the current administration, much of the Democratic Party, I think some of the Republican Party believes that the only way to deal with Iran is appeasement. Right now, there are 150,000 to 200,000 missiles on the Israeli border with Lebanon. How many missiles will it take, and they're precision missiles provided by Iran to Hezbollah, how many missiles will it take to hit Tel Aviv before the United States steps in and assists in taking out those targets? When will we get the IRGC in touch?
See, but now you're bringing this to a whole new level, which is what your group is all about, united against the nuclear Iran. Okay, if you marry the radicalism of the mullahs in Iran and the fanaticism of those mullahs with weapons of mass destruction like nuclear weapons, I happen to be of the mindset that I don't think they'd have any problem using it. The problem is, and we saw this first with the Obama-Biden administration, now we're seeing it with Joe Biden's administration, is, there is this obsession. It is inexplicable to me. I cannot explain it. To appease, you use the word appeasement, to appease Iran. How do they appease Iran? Well, they want to do deals that give them billions of dollars. And in the case of the Iranian nuclear deal that Obama was signing on to and Joe wants to redo, that would give them over time the ability to develop nuclear weapons. And by every indication that I read and my sources and things that people have told me, they're a lot closer than maybe anybody really knows. So what we do is we're making them rich. Joe Biden, turns a blind eye to the fact that they're making hundreds of billions of dollars selling their oil, again, when they shouldn't be. And number two, like Biden, like Obama before him, Biden wants them to give them money and free up monies that have been sanctioned against them and that Donald Trump would never have opened up to them. So that makes them rich, and that allows them to continue to fund these proxy wars in their terror campaign, not only throughout the region, but worldwide.
I think you're 100% right, Sean. If we engage in a policy when they engage in supporting terror proxies, that we give them money, we appease them, we constantly only seek a diplomatic solution without engaging in full sanctions enforcement and using a true military deterrent threat, they see a playing field that is clear. Nothing will stop them from going nuclear. Nothing will stop them from going into more and more threatening behavior unless we change that philosophy and truly deter with targeted strikes on IRGC and Quds Force facilities and letting them know that there will be consequences to their action I think they will continue to do that. The moment we start deterring, I believe Iran will back down, because that's what Iran is. But
let me ask you, what hope do you have? What indication is there that Joe Biden is capable of putting forward any deterrent? Because I see nothing but appeasement.
I am disappointed in one aspect. I think President Biden has done a good job standing with Israel, but I do think that there is a lack of deterrence that you see talked about across the intel community. At least President Obama engaged in an invasion of Pakistan to get bin Laden, to engage in some drone strikes in various countries around the region. We see less and less deterrence of kinetic action by President Biden, and I think that there has to be coupled with our statements of support, with our actions of support.
All right, quick break. More with Mark Wallace, CEO of United Against a Nuclear Iran. All right, we continue now. Mark Wallace, CEO of United Against the Nuclear Iran and a former U.S. ambassador to the UN. My sources have told me again and again that there's one posture Biden and his administration are taking publicly, and he's saying the right things, but privately, behind closed doors, and now even publicly to some extent. There was comments by John Kirby over the weekend. Yeah, Israel must do everything possible in their conflict, in their battle with Hamas, to ensure that there's no collateral damage or human casualties or civilian casualties. And I'm thinking, how is that going to be possible? How do you fight a war that way with literally handcuffs on you? I don't think you can win a war that way. Am I wrong?
No, and the historian Douglas Murray out of the United Kingdom recently wrote that Israel and the Jews are never allowed to win a war. They're not allowed to fight back to the attacks that are made against them. Imagine any constraints from the United States or European power that was attacked so brutally the way Israel was, to being constrained. And look, I think the reality of the Democratic Party, when you look at the polling data, is the support of Israel, the pro-Palestinian support, and any Palestinian support right now is by definition support of Hamas. And I think that is one of the tragedies of what's befallen the Democratic Party. Rather than the old days, at least we had some common ground. But look, Sean, we can't not call out some Republicans that don't want to do the right thing either. We see some Republicans not being strong enough in the area either.
Well, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not sure that everybody sees the importance of it. And frankly, there is a very legitimate concern about America getting dragged into another long, extended conflict, because I don't think most people, I mean, these politicians, they start these wars, they politicize these wars after years, and then they say, never mind. And then you think of all the national treasure that was lost and the trillions of dollars spent. And it's like, how many more times are we going to keep making the same mistake? And I think the real answer is, if you're going to fight a war, you obliterate your enemy and you leave. That's it. And you make sure, in the case of Israel, that neither Lebanon or Gaza could ever be used as a staging area again for a network of tunnels or for missiles to be fired into Israel. That's the win for me. Can that happen? We have 15 seconds.
We used to have a doctrine of preemption where if we saw a threat, we would address it. Right now, we have a doctrine: we must wait until they attack us and hurt us really badly before we step in.
Israel just got attacked, the worst terror attack in their history.
Right.
Is this now their opportunity?
Well, I think, when you see how many missiles are targeted at Tel Aviv, how many missiles is it going to take for the Eisenhower, the Gerald R. Ford, or the Bataan Battle Group to step up and start targeting those Hezbollah assets that are targeting Israel right now? I think it's over.
I don't see Joe Biden doing it. I don't.
Until there is an unacceptable loss of life and tragedy in Tel Aviv, I would urge all of your viewers to phone into him and press upon him, and Republicans that are hesitant. It's not just the Democratic Party. There are elements of the Republican Party that disappoint us as well, Sean.
I don't mean to sound cynical, but good luck getting an answer. Anyway, we appreciate you. Thank you, Mark Wallace, CEO of United Against a Nuclear Iran. God forbid that day ever came.